and welcome to Nelson All Over Cards. My name is Nelson, and today we're going to be taking a look at 3 of the community submitted decks for last week's Deck Factory, which was all about Hard Knocks. Now, I did a video, we built a Gambit deck, played the Gambit deck, had a lot of fun with that. You can find that video probably linked right here. It's also down below, but opened up to the community, we got a lot of fun suggestions, and so I picked 3, and we're going to walk through them. So let's head over to the computer and check them out. So this first deck here is the Hard Knocks Life from Spider-Woman, and this is built by Andyr. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly, but we're using a protection, which is where we're getting our hard knocks, and then aggression, which is solving the problem of making sure that we have a minion to actually knock out with hard knocks, which I thought was really clever. So we got Angela here, who can fish for minions, and then we've also got Looking for Trouble, which fishes for minions as well. Because we do need to take somebody out with the hard knocks, this is a way that we can make sure and guarantee that there is a minion around so that we can get that tough status card. We've got a couple other ways that we can get toughs in this deck, and this is kind of, they talk about this is looking to tough lock because of contaminant immunity, which is one of Spider-Woman's cards, which gives her a tough status card, hard knocks, and then also Muster Courage, which is a card that I completely kind of forget about. So Muster Courage is play only if you have the Avenger trait. You can give up to X characters a tough status card where X is equal to the villain stage number, so you can spread those tough status cards out. Now they're combining this with Taunt for a lot of card draw. What's nice about card draw with Spider-Woman is every time you play an aspect card, she gets more stats, and so you're able to get these taunts out, which is going to draw you in. Angela, Looking for Trouble are very inexpensive cards to play, which boost your stats, and then you just get to go and self-propel glide and win and just go crazy. So really thought that this Hard Knocks Life was pretty fun. The other thing that they're using here is Aggressive Energy, which increases the damage output of an attack event, and they also have Warrior Skill. Yeah, Warrior Skill here, which is another way to increase. And so similar to like what we were looking at with Gambit, where we're looking for some ways to increase that damage output, where Gambit has the charge counters, we're using Aggressive Energy and Warrior Skill to get them up to like 6-7 damage. So that's pretty cool. I think it's 5 or 6 damage. Oh, if you use 2 Aggressive Energies, it's 7. Yeah, very cool deck. I like this one a lot. I love building for Spider-Woman. She can do things that just other characters cannot do. Build support here, grabbing Quinn Carrier, which is nice. And then Specialized Training. I would I wonder if I don't remember them talking about, but Specialized Training works for pretty much anything. I'd probably go for Attack here, or maybe Thwart, who knows. But at least you can have that ability to flex into whatever you want to grab, whatever one of those specialized, linked cards you want to grab for Specialized Training. So really cool deck here with the Hard Knocks Life. That's a fun one. Let's check out the next one. This next deck starts our exploration into using Hard Knocks with the X-Men characters here. So this is Cyclops stands tough. Basically, we're using Hard Knocks to get tough, and that allows us to protect our allies. Since Cyclops can choose any of the X-Men allies to run, even outside of their aspect, then they can just run a plethora of allies and then use the tough to soak so that we don't have to chump block. Now there's a couple of them here that I think we would want to chump block with, like Blindfold, because we want to have Blindfold entering play as many times as possible. Pixie is another one here where we want to use Pixie to recur another X-Men ally, and then also yeah, those are the kind of the two. Maybe Forge. We want to come in and out every once in a while. But once we get Wolverine and Bishop on the table, and Bishop is really cool here because when Bishop attacks, we can remove energy counters from him to give him plus attack. And then after an enemy attacks you, place 1 energy counter here. Since we're taking a lot of attacks, and a lot of times Cyclops wants to be flipping down, and there is a little bit of that in this deck where we want to be, and this is by Iwasframed. I'm sorry, I don't think I said that earlier. I apologize. But Danger Room gets you those training upgrades, which protective training here. And then we have a couple other alter ego support, but I think we want to be in hero form for the most time, or for the majority of the game when we're playing this. And once we kind of tough lock ourselves and we get those toughs, and we can use pin downs to maintain those toughs even if we do have minions that are those pesky little minions that are going to throw toughs off of us. We can use that to charge Bishop up pretty much indefinitely. Like, right, we can take 3 attacks to get that +6 damage output, which is just a lot of fun. Bishop combined with Wolverine here solves your damage. Cyclops, you know, taking all the attacks with the hard knocks with the tough status priority. I think I would probably add Polaris into this deck. I would look to try and see if I could get Polaris into this deck to add just even more tough kind of statuses to come in. Maybe I honestly would probably just throw Polaris in here as a 9th ally, taking us up to 43 cards. I mean, with Scott's like card draw and everything, with his priority targets and everything, I don't think 43 cards is out of the question at all. But I would probably run Polaris to get just another generation of tough, and then we can just charge Bishop up and then let Bishop attack for 6. If we have ways to heal Bishop, and we don't really hear, but Bishop can attack for 6 twice before he gets knocked out, or we can have him attack for 6 because he does take that double consequential. We can have him attack for 6 and then chump block and then cycle him back pretty quickly. So I like this deck. I thought this was fun because I don't get to see a lot of Bishop play, and I feel like this is a way that you can make sure that you're protecting yourself and your allies by taking a ton of attacks with Bishop. And then Bishop also really works well, and actually I didn't even recognize this when I was like looking through the deck to prepare talking about this, but this is when an enemy attacks you. Combine that with pin down, that's sick. That's really, really cool because the attached minion gets -2 attack, but they're still attacking you. And so if you have 2 minions out and you put 2 pin downs on those minions, and then you have one tough status card, you block the villain attack and then you block the 2 minions, Bishop is fully charged up and can do whatever Bishop is wanting to do. And so that's a really cool combo right there that I think is a ton of fun. I would probably try to get Polaris in this deck, would be my first change, and then I would honestly probably look at running Med Team, because once we get Bishop, I don't really want to pay for Bishop again and again, but if we have Med Team, every single time Bishop activates, he's taking that 2 damage, which Med Team can then immediately heal, and if we have pin down on those minions and we're getting a fully charged Bishop every single time, I want to attack for Bishop 6, or with that 6th attack every single turn, and a Med Team allows us to do that. And so now protective training does help with that a little bit, but in some of these videos I'm not criticizing, I'm just offering suggestions and maybe routes that I would take. But I thought this was a really fun way to utilize Bishop and Cyclops to get both the pin downs, the Bishops to fully charge, and then use hard knocks to protect yourself, which is pretty much great. This is a ton of fun. I really, really like this one. Also, pin down is a tactic upgrade. Yeah, so you can go grab it with either your your tactical brilliance or Scott Summers' alter ego ability, where you can go get a tactic upgrade. So awesome stuff. Really like this deck. Cyclops Stands Tough from Iwasframed. Check it out. Links are going to be down below. Let's take a look at our next X-Men deck. This next deck is a Wolverine protection deck, and it was built by VJackson Brian. Again, deck links are down below. So Wolverine, and I got a lot of comments, and I just completely whiffed on the Wolverine call on running hard knocks in the video. But y'all are so smart because Wolverine and hard knocks go hand in hand. Now, Wolverine sometimes does not like tough status cards because you have to take damage in order to pay for those events using his claws. So if you have a tough, you cannot use your ability to play a attack event because you have to take the damage. It's not dealt to you. So the little take first deal. But what is really cool here is that you can use your claws to play hard knocks. You can take the 3 damage, destroy an enemy, then give your hero a tough status card going into the villain phase, and then you can block an attack because you're using your health as a resource as Wolverine. And when Wolverine is taking damage and also taking attacks, that can get pretty dangerous pretty quickly. So using your ability to play Hard Knocks makes this so much better, because then you don't have to worry about the villain also piling onto the damage that you're already piling onto yourself. You combined Hard Knocks, and with Wolverine's Claws, if you pay for it, they get piercing, and so any of those armored guards, any of those tough status minions that come in, you don't have to worry about it, because the Wolverine's Claws are going to pierce that Hard Knocks and give you a tough. A lot of the other stuff that I like here in Wolverine, I love What Doesn't Kill Me, heal 2 damage ready, because once we get those claw, or the adamantium skeleton, yeah, you get that +1 attack, so now you're readying, healing 2, able to swing again for 3 with piercing, got momentum shift, which is healing. With a lot of healing, you got endurance, and that's what Wolverine needs, because we're going to be taking a lot of damage, and then we're going to be dishing a lot of damage, but we have to be careful and protect that health. We also got a gambit of allies over here. I think I would probably want to run a Utopia. I think I would find room for a Utopia in here to increase that ally limit, because we are running 8, so a good portion of our deck is allies, but then also we can ready Wolverine whenever we play an ally and get that multiple attack off even further. Also using Iron Fist so that we can stun lock that villain and protect our health, use that health as a resource instead. Then also First Aid. First Aid here is pretty interesting, because I think there's a lot of healing in this Wolverine deck, and I have not played this deck. I'm just doing kind of a cursory glance and analysis of the deck, but I feel like First Aid and Colossus could be really, really fun here, because First Aid heals 2 damage, Colossus takes 2 damage on an attack. And so a lot of the times when I play Colossus, I have that mutant or X-Men trait, I'm playing him for 3. I like to use that toughness that he comes in with as a block. So I block the incoming attack, then that following round I can ready and then start hammering with Colossus's high attack. Once I have that 3 attack, usually I'm sitting with 1 health left. I can either block with Colossus again, or I can swing again for 3. But if we have First Aids in here, it just prolongs Colossus's life, and we can keep him out even longer, which I think could be a nice flex for this card, because sometimes, or I could see with the stun lock with Iron Fist and the tough lock with Hard Knocks, and also just having a lot of allies, I could see a world in which we don't need the healing from First Aid, and we can throw that onto our allies instead. So really cool deck here with Wolverine. I wanted to make sure I picked a Wolverine deck to talk about in this kind of follow-up analysis video, because Wolverine, I just completely whiffed, and I think Wolverine is a fantastic use of Hard Knocks, but in my brain I just said Wolverine does not like toughs, but that's not the case. If we can get a tough after we use that Wolverine's Claws ability, Wolverine very much likes tough, especially if it's going to save him health, which he can then use to pay for future damage. So I like this one. Again, this one's from VJackson Brian. Yeah, so continue to submit your decks for the deck factory. I'm having a ton of fun looking through them, and every single time I feel like I learned something new about deck building. And so let's go back and we'll close it out and see you around. Awesome. Thank you so very much for checking out the 3 decks. Those are linked down below, so if you want to try them out, go for it, have fun, and make sure to stay tuned for future deck factory videos in the future. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you around. Peace.